Community is the rocket fuel most marketers ignore. Real fans don't just buy from you, they take ownership. Think VSCO Girl, an entire identity formed around a photo app that never saw it coming. Most brands panic when they lose control. The smart ones, they lean in. Stanley went from job site thermos to momfluencer must-have. Liquid Death partners with mushroom gummies, and Ocean Spray buys a TikToker a truck. The line between trend chasing and authentic evolution is razor thin. How much growth is your brand sacrificing by playing it too safe?
Studio flooded. Well, it didn't flood. Our studio had a major leak. We had a window of Tennessee insane weather. Did you guys see any of the pictures of the hail? Like,
yeah.
Did you see anything?
Yeah, I saw a video.
Like, dude, like some of them were the size of baseballs.
Yeah.
Like the hail was huge.
Yeah.
I almost had to pull over on the side of the road because I thought I wasn't gonna be able to see in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah. These last 3 weeks of weather here has been
crazy,
wild.
And we didn't get a leak. We got one leak before that was like minimal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we did anything.
Before we did anything in here. It was a little guy. We were like, all right, cool. Put towels and buckets. I was like, whatever. Yeah. I think that was even during when we had that crazy tornado, watch, not warning, watch, hey, this thing could touch down. Yeah. And we didn't get that level of leakage.
Water.
Yeah, we came in here. Luckily, the gear didn't get. Did the keyboard get ruined?
I haven't
tried it yet.
I haven't tried it yet.
But so we had a leak, but we had to keep going because we had podcast episodes we shot today that we had to make sure with Greg Lutzi, founded VSCO. Which did you guys use VSCO? Any of you? Did you?
I know. Yeah. I think I downloaded it, but I never
young?
actually.
He's too young.
You're too young.
Yeah, I think I might be.
You're the beneficiary of culture changing to where you didn't need an app like VSCO. When we were like.
Yeah, because Instagram had 4 filters.
Exactly. That was it.
So there's nothing you could the amount of editing you can do in Instagram and you've been able to do for a decade now.
Yeah.
Wasn't there. So you had third-party editing apps, and VSCO was the first one that took off. You know what VSCO Girl is though.
Yeah, I knew that.
Being a VSCO, so my wife was a VSCO girl, but using VSCO
yes,
at the beach, water bottle covered in stickers, oversized the trend is that she was that user though.
That's awesome.
She was blogging on Tumblr, that whole era.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I had a Tumblr too.
Yeah, iPhone 4, this is that era of just.
Yep.
It's so cool. I mean, and I the first time I met Greg, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. That it's that VSCO. I don't know why my brain's no,
it's Nabisco.
Yeah, I was like VSCO's not a thing anymore, is it? It is.
And it's just again, it kind of their challenge of reinventing, which is great. They had to look at it like that or think about it differently because of it's so common that stuff changed, culture changed, things caught up, apps evolved, Instagram evolved, video platforms started to go remember Vine? Vine started to really take off.
It crawled, and so Snapchat could run and TikTok could run.
Exactly.
Something interesting that he said is that some brands aren't meant to be legacy brands. Some brands are meant to be just I can't remember the word he used. But I was like, oh,
their lifespan is different.
That's interesting because you think when you start something, you always think you want to create something with a legacy, but some things just aren't meant to.
And I don't even know if you know that or not.
I mean that directly.
When you start it, you don't know. Yeah, I don't think you. Know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing that they didn't engineer, they had nothing to do with, and then they embraced. That was so cool to me. He was like, we couldn't get our arms around it. We couldn't control it. So we had this surge, and our user base dramatically shifted.
Yeah. So now you're hitting something I think that's worth a conversation.
Yeah.
This diving into when a trend starts to take place and a brand can jump on it and they can figure out how do we not try to control this thing, but actually get inside of it. I think that's a conversation that a lot of people are not having because they're trying to perfect it.
Yep.
And so then they miss the moment. And there's stuff happening that they need to be jumping on right now.
Because your community is creating a community of your brand. You know what I mean? And so instead of fighting that, quote unquote meme or whatever that your audience is creating a community inside of your brand, instead of fighting that, how do you
Yeah, like the Saratoga water, like
Yeah.
there's an element of like figuring out like how to capitalize on the Saratoga water reality when that's happening as a trend, and you're like, okay, I need to jump on that. I think so many people are, one, they're not fast enough because there's too much bureaucracy in their stuff that they can't actually be current.
Yeah.
And then I think there's the other part of, I think people are scared of trends because they don't feel like it's on brand. So they wrestle with, can I actually do this?
Yeah, and I think that ties a lot into our anatomy of a brand.
Yeah.
Ethos is it's the identity piece of it, right? Where like your identity needs to be so beyond the look feel of your branding. I mean, like the about face Stanley did.
Yeah,
Like exactly like
correct. They jumped on that
they
trend.
360'd and like it was, or 180. That's the right word. They completely, they were a mountaineering workwear, work lunchbox, tough brand trying to compete.
Now they're like a rainbow wall inside of Dick's Sporting Goods full of every color possible.
They were trying to fist fight with Yeti, and then they went, oh, my house, like moms
moms
women,
want this.
Like, like it's still the same quality product, but
right.
They're the positioning and like the market opportunity. They could have completely fought that and been like, no, we're still
this is who we are.
We're for men, and kind of leaned really hard.
We're for the worker, union worker that needs something to keep their food warm and their soups hot.
Yeah, and like and I think a lot of brands, like you said, for some reason, fear, bureaucracy, not knowing how to embrace it. Automotive companies suck at this too. With like the Beamer Bros and like that, like there's a world where you could accept the actual buyer market.
Like Jeep.
Like Jeep could like Jeep does it well. It's there's just so much you can do to lean in and really build that opportunity for like staying power.
It's understanding that when your brand develops so much, because I had somebody talk about, I remember watching this, I forget what it was or who was saying it, but they were talking about building these communities, and they were asking the question like, do you actually even exist to any of these communities? And I think what people have off about communities with brands is that they think it's actually like a gathering thing versus like, no, this is like a shared belief, a shared ethos, a shared perspective on the world, a shared lifestyle, not necessarily like do we go and get coffee and drinks together, but more so like, do I have this commonality with a group of people, even though we're not in the same room? And I think what brands miss is the opportunity when that community starts to take their brand and own it in a way that they create stuff with it. Instead of like trying to like keep things on brand, it's going, how do we allow the community that's been built around our brand to drive us forward? I think they're scared, like it makes them lose control.
That's it's a control thing, right?
Yeah. But I think that's a valid thing they need to be thinking about is are we developing a community that can even create momentum? Like, do we have enough of I remember even thinking the other day about a brand that we're potentially working with that it's going, okay, you have a product, you have a sense of identity, and you have a tagline and a phrase, but there's not a shared ethos that people go, I'm that type of person. And I share that with that person. And we share it together. And now I kind of like you, even though we don't even know each other. It's like, there's the jokes about like, how do you walk into a bar and there's two people that do CrossFit? How? Because they told you. It's like there's always that commonality. Despite whatever else they do, one is like could literally be an accountant, and the other could be a firefighter. Yeah. But the commonality that they created makes them like each other. I don't think brands I think so many brands are missing that when they're like, we have an identity. I'm like, you have a logo, you have a color palette, you have some verbal, but you haven't created this type of shared ethos, shared belief system that people can identify with and then own. And move it forward. That's the thing I think we're talking about is when people own that.
And that's the ability and the skill set of the like universe or world creation around your brand, where you're creating these characters which should look like your customers or who your customers aspire to be or identify. Right, like that is so much easier than going, our target market is 42 to 53-year-old men
Yeah.
live in middle America and they work a 9 to 5. Like, yes, there is art to that data set for building brand and acquiring those customers, but especially if you're consumer based, and even if you're not, like it's so identity and feeling, and I want to use this because this type of person uses this, buys this, drives this, wears this.
It's almost subconscious at that point.
It's super subconscious. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why do you, going back to the control thing and the fear of losing it to your audience? What is it? Ego? Why do you think why do companies fear the loss of control?
Well, I think it's a human thing. I think the idea that what we work hard on gets out from underneath us and we no longer can steer it. So I think that there's a fear of, will this have a negative backlash? You can't control if it does. You I mean, we've talked about this. The Twitter account for Wendy's is unhinged.
Just savage.
Like, but it's awesome. Like, it's so good. But it's like it can create these communities that like can go off on these tangents that if you can't quite control what they're doing with your product, how it's being perceived. So there's an element of like, I desire as a brand to be perceived like X. And if the community takes this, like, I don't know how much Jeep actually cares or doesn't care about the little duckies in everybody's windows. And I don't know if they'll ever own that as a thing, because it's almost too, what I want. I'm not a Jeep owner. I don't. You put ducks in your windows. I don't care. But it almost looks like the old, like when you look at cars that have tons of bumper stickers.
Yep.
It's like that to me. It's like even if I owned a Jeep, I would never put a duck there. But there's a group of people that are like, I want to buy a Jeep because I want to put a duck on my car. Yeah, and that's exactly.
It's like freaking
How do you
door to door.
see? How do you see over those ducks?
But it's a sub niche of their customer base of like, I'm a serious Jeep owner.
Yep.
Like, I'm actually like love Jeeps. I
Yes.
don't just drive a Jeep to drive a Jeep.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not cheeky, but
it's
it's
not
like it actually
yeah.
speaks to something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same as a Toyota Land Cruiser owner. Like, I see another one lifted with bumpers on it. Like, we wave at
Ready
each
for
other.
the apocalypse.
Yeah, we're like, you're a real one. Like, and like half the time you drive by one, and you're like, you've had that since 2002. Like, way to go, dude. Like, but like, there's these things that identify with a specific group of people that I want to be included in and referenced by. And I mean, it's a conversation we've had 1,000 times of you hear creative directors, CMOs, CEOs go, I want my company, my tax accounting business to do stuff like Liquid Death. You'll never will because you're not willing to take that risk.
You're
like,
not. You're just not.
Yeah. Like,
You're not willing to be perceived the way that, like when Liquid Death did its, with the what's her name? Oh, it's drawn a blank. She has her own podcast. She's married to one of the Kelsey brothers. Anyway, she.
Oh.
Do you remember her name? I'm drawing a complete blank right now.
it's not
Blonde.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's great. Her podcast is great.
Yeah.
I love it. Whoever's running the TikTok for that, it's showing up in my algorithm like crazy.
Yeah.
But she was on a collab with Liquid Death because she was pregnant. Whoever's behind a lot of your stuff, I know that your brain power is there, but there's another person too that's doing some great work there. The thing that they did was she was pregnant at a bar with the keg of Liquid Death.
Oh, that's fun.
And like playing on drinking on the job, drinking pregnant. Like I remember one of their bits was like they were throwing this whole drinking on the job to pilots, throwing them Liquid Death to pilots. And you're like, drink on the job. They're absolutely willing to have this rebellious, disruptive energy to a very stale, health conscious environment that doesn't take risks like that.
Yeah.
And so when an accountant is like, or some other brand is like, I want to do stuff like Liquid Death because they're disrupting. You're like, but you don't have the spine.
Yeah, it'll never pass committee.
Yeah,
like
if too many people are gonna go, nope.
You have to like trust your creative person to make choices.
Yeah,
and it's all trust.
And they'll take press no matter what. Like Liquid Death is like, we know that we're gonna get some good stuff from this, and we know we're gonna get flack from this.
The amount of times I've been ID'd buying Liquid Death because they think it's a beer.
Stop. Oh
They're like,
my
can I see your ID? I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's iced tea.
That is fantastic.
It's a box of iced tea. It's not beer.
and I
But
think
it's just what
that
they're
is
shooting
fantastic.
What I think is going back to the
Not because I'm young looking.
Yeah, I was gonna say they ID'd you for iced tea, bro.
going back to the focus of this is like not fighting your audience. I think Liquid Death got in front of the not meme, but just like who they are, and they got in front of that and had the I can't think of the word now, but they just got out in front before they lost, quote unquote control.
Well, they also
not
do like,
audience.
And they were willing to push the envelope on what control even looked like. They're like, this thing could take a life of its own through a whole, and that's the thing. Like they were very willing to know that if we create something so disruptive, so rebellious, so on the fringes, like this isn't a tall boy in a can. But what's crazy that accepted them first is Whole Foods.
Yep.
You're like Whole Foods was the first retailer to bring in Liquid Death. So you've got these like granolas and like all these like
wealthy,
very pure, wealthy individuals looking at Liquid Death on the shelf now, and because they made it as a sustainability play.
At first.
It was not like hey, Liquid Death is a disruptive water company, so put us in your space. Liquid Death was going in as a sustainability play to Whole Foods, and Whole Foods adopted them into their sustainability market. And then people started going, what the heck is that?
Yeah. Was that a Whole Foods play as far as trying to get Liquid Death's customer into their store? Or do you think it was...
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think it was...
No, but I think they grew. I think it's the same way like when Liquid Death did the collab with Mary Ruth's organic supplements. So they did this nighttime sleep collab, and it's like murder your dreams or murder your nightmares or something like that was the tagline. And it's a woman murdering clowns.
Right.
Like my kids can't watch the trailer because they would freak out. Like it's just it's nuts. I mean the commercial's nuts. It's a lady falling asleep, and when she wakes up she has a chainsaw and she's covered in colored stuff that is to mimic blood of a clown, and she's just hacking away at a clown. What other brand is willing to put themselves on that edge for who they are? And the thing is, nobody's going to say it's a gimmick for Liquid Death. Nobody's going to say it's...
Because they came out ridiculous.
Exactly.
Like they had to
It's true to them.
But they also in parallel do collabs that reinforce.
Correct.
So like Travis Barker.
Yep.
I mean, even their Yeti collab, they gave away a coffin cooler, which is I had tried to enter to win that. It was so cool. But like they in parallel, shock and awe, but reinforce with the ones you're like, oh, that's not surprising. Oh, that's not. Of course, they're doing something with Travis Barker.
Yes.
He's covering tattoos.
That makes tons of
It
sense.
makes perfect sense. But they have that art of tension of like, we know this will get the attention we need, but this still reinforces the edginess of this brand.
And there's a question I have. Like I would love to sit down if this ever gets to the ears of the Liquid Death team and the Mary Ruth's Organics team. I would love the conversation of who approached who.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's a potential that Mary Ruth's approached them to get into a different demographic, because Mary Ruth's is a mom, a woman kind of like product. It's when I say that, I mean when you go to their website, it's literally almost entirely women on the
it's
product.
a female aesthetic.
Yeah, female aesthetic,
color palette, all of it.
All of it, and it's like my kids use it. We use Mary Ruth's organic supplements. Like it's almost like I don't think Mary Ruth organic supplements were going to get. I don't think Liquid Death was going to get their customers. I think Mary Ruth was going to get Liquid Death's customers.
Agreed.
I think the people who are buying Liquid Death don't buy supplements. Tend to buy, and I think
As a blanket statement.
It's a blanket statement. I don't think they buy supplements.
They're unhealthy people.
But the thing is, they're in Whole Foods, right? But
It's the only water they drink.
It's the only thing they drink. Their whole thing was like they hoped somebody who would reach for an energy drink. That's one of the Liquid Death things is they hope somebody who would look for the Monster energy drink and go grab a Liquid Death instead. Like that, they have a sense of health consciousness, but I'm like, you guys are making this is such a unique collaboration that I think Mary Ruth won on that deal. I feel like they got more people who are willing to look at their product now than people who are willing to look at Liquid Death. I think that market, because Mary Ruth's Organics is never going to see the ad of the clown getting murdered by that woman.
Yeah,
Liquid Death's audience is.
But Liquid Death has positioned themselves as the most extreme disruptive brand to collaborate with.
Correct.
So if you have the cojones and the approval and the money, come jump in and
We'll do something gnarly.
I bet it's Liquid Death's creative team going, yes, but it has to be this way.
Yeah.
We'll do this.
We'll do this.
This is what it'll look like. if you don't want to take it, if it's too far, then no. Like
that's fine. But that's who we are.
That's who they
know
are.
The price of entry.
But their identity is so locked of being that disruptor. And I mean, their story is super fun. Of just the idea of replacing the energy drink because of the cans of Monster Water energy drink that the bands were drinking at the festival. And he's like, oh wait, what?
So say there was a brand who, and you were that brand's brand strategist. They started to see this either a meme or just like this
viral product of some kind.
Of theirs that they were seeing going in this direction. How would you advise them on that? Would you tell them lean into it? Would you tell them do a flash in the? But what would you advise them? They're like, hey Chris, like this is starting to be a thing on social media. Like what should we do as far as content? Do we need to post something about it? Like what's your guys' recommendation to them?
One, you can, depending on how big the movement, how fast it moves.
Right.
Like I think when it comes to content, without shifting the brand, people think it's all or nothing when like you should immediately react and jump in on social media trend, and your social media content should play off of it and lean into it. Doesn't mean change your website, doesn't mean change your ad, doesn't mean change your packaging, doesn't mean
doesn't even change your marketing plan.
It doesn't change. Yeah, it's
keep
just like
all that in place.
Like that's part of good social media strategy is the ability to be dynamic and active and fast to follow those moments. And then if it really starts to blow up and you see other brands leaning into it, that's when you go, okay, how can we do like CPG brands? It's easy. You go, hey, we do a limited release that's tied to that. Cool. Does that blow up as well? Okay, like you can kind of test your way into how far into the ethos do we pull this trend, or is it like cool, like we'll double down right now. Like Coors Light recently accidentally released packaging with a typo.
Was it? Did they come out and say it was accidental? I thought they came out and said it was. They wanted the person to think it was drunk text.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was accidental from what I saw.
Oh,
then they react.
Great. This is great, but it's still being talked about regardless.
Yeah, it's still being talked about regardless. But then they released like the Monday's limited edition package of Coors Light with that's what it said.
Yeah, that's true.
So like,
yeah, it's true. It's a good point.
And what I'm is like with Saratoga, what that was like such a huge like for a week but if they do a part like an Ashton Genty X Saratoga limited edition bottle.
I'd be working with a Cold Pledge company.
Exactly.
Ice Barrel Saratoga,
exactly.
where it looks like a Saratoga bottle.
100%.
Getting it, like I'd lean so hard.
Quick.
And they literally don't need to change anything besides just like Ashton Genty X Saratoga on the bottle, and that's a way of.
And if I wanted to ride that trend, but I wasn't Saratoga, I would figure out a way to create either like my own moment of like. Where if I was another drink brand and I wanted to do that, I would do the same thing, making fun of it, but using my product in that place. Where it's like I would make a kind of like a mimic mockery, walking through like where it's like if I had a
syrup company.
Yeah, syrup company. I'd be pouring the syrup
company.
in there, and I'd be putting my face in the syrup the same way that guy was putting the Saratoga water, just dumping my face in it. If I was a coffee shop, local coffee shop, I'd follow that trend locally because it's like it's what it's going to do is it's going to gravitate people to understand your current. You get what's going on, and you understand how entertainment works in this space, and people are going to be engaged with it. And you may be a local coffee shop. If I was a local coffee shop, imagine doing that, and it's hot coffee, and the person just kind of like reacts to the like intensity of being borderline burned, which might be a workplace culture issue. So maybe not OSHA.
Well, there's a lot of things we can also do.
We can do iced coffee. We can do iced coffee. But like, you just play on that.
Yeah.
And then the moment's over, but you got enough traction in that moment to leverage that opportunity towards you. It may not mean it's the greatest thing ever going forward for you, but you would learn how to leverage a moment that easily could be for you. Or if you just go like, oh, it's just not us. Okay.
Yeah. And I think what you mentioned is a very, very key point is it's entertainment. All of your content, especially on social, like entertainment first, because I know the table conversation of like coming to the team and going, hey, we're a syrup company or a coffee company. We want to mimic the ice pack thing, do a reel, do a TikTok. We're gonna do this. Well, it doesn't educate them on like the product type or like like that's
our label says
the
this, so
death
technically
committee.
we can't do this, or this.
Or not even. They're like, well, what feature? Because a lot of product style marketing, you get stuck in the feature set, and everything has to tie back to the feature set, not to like, hey, can we get the eyes and jump on the trend and then pull them in? Like, there's the beauty of awareness content, and awareness content is 100% entertainment content.
Yeah, at top of the funnel, like
Top of the funnel,
you're absolutely in that space of awareness.
You don't know who we are. You saw something funny, you laughed, you sent it to a friend. Then you go, oh, cool. Oh, man, I like iced coffee. Like, I'll jump in.
Yeah.
Or like, I eat
because if you understand the metrics or way how the algorithms work to a degree, you get the idea that it's not simply will they follow your shop anymore. It's no longer like, okay, will they get it? Will this convert to a follow or a sell? It's like, no, will this convert to a share? Will this convert to an engagement, a comment of some form, or will they share it and save it?
Yep.
And those three metrics you have to pay attention to. So when a community takes your product, like for example, I think there's I saw this guy doing, but here's the thing, right? Like there's companies who look at I'll say this part first. I got sidetracked there, ADHD right there. But I see a guy on Instagram who does these food reviews, and he's funny. He's got a personality. He's got things going on in his life that I'm like, this guy's just interesting, and he eats in a way that I'm just like, this is just funny. And me and my brother are sharing it back and forth. We're sharing the different foods he's eating. They're like, this is so funny. Oh my gosh. And it's hilarious the way he's doing it. All of a sudden, 60% or more of his current content is restaurants I know for a fact are paying him to now come and do the reviews in his restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Everything feels inauthentic now.
Yep. Absolutely.
Is it the guy who's in the car? That's how he started?
He might be I forget his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
I know there's one that does like Shock O'Clock. And like he does, but he's all of a sudden you start feeling like now this is or almost like a city tourism account where you cannot buy their ratings on anything they say because it's simply just all they're trying to do is get you to be aware of it. They're not telling you this is quality. Like all they're doing is like, this is a tourism account. We just tell you about our quote unquote best cheesesteak of the city. Where I'm like,
yeah, it's the wrong flip to that, right? Because there's the authentic way of like, hey, this restaurant is having me come in and cook in there. Like, let's go see, let's explore, let's go on this journey together to discover. But the restaurant has to be comfortable enough for them to go an honest opinion. Like, you go and like, yeah, this is great, but I changed this, and this. And this was my recipe.
Yep. And so it's being that's the thing.
Authentic.
It's like, it's going, if you're going to bring in this person to work with you, the authenticity, most of them think old influencer marketing, which is like, let's get an important person who has clout and eyes on them, get them in our space, and it'll work. It doesn't work like that anymore. Yeah. So if this person has a specific thing they do, you've got to let them do it with your product and let them do it with your shop. Otherwise, you're ruining the trend. You're not actually jumping on it. You're actually, now this person is actually going to lose traction on their account. And there's a way to authentically. There's fashion accounts that I stopped following because they went from looking at them as, wow, they do great curation of clothing, to now they're telling you all the sponsorship clothing they have and why it's amazing. And I'm like, okay, I have no problem with sponsorship. You got to make money. Yeah. But you've got to do this differently. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't look the same. So there's an element to a lot of these. I think there's a pistachio chocolate that's from like Abu Dhabi or something like that. That is just like, I saw a couple of videos of people eating it and it's like $50 to buy. Yeah. And it's this thick thing. I'm like, if I was a coffee shop, I would start thinking like, can I get that chocolate and do some shots with it? Yep. And just see what happens and go, we're going to test it out and make it real. Anyway, I think what we're hitting is brands, if they want to develop communities, there's an element you've got to let these communities shape some things. You can't control them entirely. Yeah. And that's an important
leverage moment.
The cranberry juice guy.
Oh my gosh, bro. Yes.
Yeah. Old school brand.
How are we not talking about that? Yeah.
No marketing.
And Fleetwood Mac. Their album took off.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they both like, I don't know the brand of the juice, the apple cranberry juice, but like they just
Ocean Spray, like
Ocean Spray.
Yeah, the cranberry, yeah.
Then they bought him a car or like
they
like leaned in and like that dude's a diehard but they just rode the wave. Yep. They're an old company that could go no.
Yeah. Yep. When you let a little bit off of that, and you don't have to give up your foundation. You don't have to give up who you are.
That's exactly You
don't like, and I think that's what they think sometimes is like, if we do this, we're giving up everything. Like no, you're not.
Leverage the moment.
Leverage the moment.
And it'll be forgot. Like, I think the thought of things, it's the internet, it'll be there forever. The velocity of content and information the consumer audience is taking in, if it doesn't work, like as long as you like really don't piss some people off, like no one's gonna remember in 30 days, 90 days, a year that you did that, like,
Correct.
and it didn't land. But like I'd take the risk, take the jump.
Because
Like,
the moment's right now.
the moment's now.
Like, it's about leverage. Like you're saying, leverage the moment. It's not going to be here in a year unless you do it. It's either so successful or tanks so bad and goes so poorly that it like you have to then leverage that moment. Like you're like you've done so poorly that you've gotten so much flack and so much heat. You've got to leverage that moment to own something that you may have never owned before.
Yeah.
And again, you might win.
Yeah.
You still might win at the end of that.
Yeah. But like if you don't like. If doing it and it not working or not doing it at all has the same impact on your business. Like there's a 99% chance, like if you do it and it doesn't work, it won't negatively impact your business. Nothing will change, but the chance that could very positively increase, it's absolutely worth it. But you have to do it fast.
Yeah.
Not, we'll put it on our content calendar for 3 months from now. Up like tomorrow, yesterday, 3 days ago. Like you have to be on time because it's nothing cringier than being 30 days late on a trend.
Oh, totally. Like imagine being like getting footage of the Knicks Pacers game last night and you see somebody in the crowd with your product. Knicks Pacers game was a crazy game last night. Insane. Kind of like historic turnaround events at the last minute of the game. You see somebody in there and you go, man, last night was historic, but you show your product in somebody's hands and you're like, it's like you ride the wave of the Pacer Knicks moment by looking and you're like, is there something we can capture as a brand from that moment that we need to think about? Because we need to leverage that moment. So I think that's the key.
Even like if there's like a anti-choking.
Yes. Oh,
like
totally.
Some kind of like, I don't know what that,
or
like the
like
CPR
training,
CPR training, a jiu-jitsu
like
place.
Just have,
like, hey, we don't choke.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
all that. There's so much.
Leverage the moment, people.
It's good.
Cool. I think that's a wrap.
That's it, boys.